The galaxy had gone silent. Once, the giants ruled hundreds of worlds. Their cities touched the clouds. Their ships darkened the stars. But now their empire was dying. One by one, their worlds went quiet. Their people could not reproduce anymore. Only one fertile giantess remained. Her name was Astrea. She stood taller than any tower, her skin marked with old scars. Each scar was a memory of failure. Each failure brought her species closer to extinction. The elders watched her from stone balconies, their faces heavy with fear. "If you fail again," one elder said, "our kind ends with you." Astrea did not answer. She already knew. Far below, in a metal chamber deep inside the giant city, a human knelt on the cold floor. His name was Eli Carter. Eli was not a warrior. He was not important. He was a small cargo pilot from a forgotten human colony. His ship had been taken during a giant patrol sweep. Now he waited, hands shaking, heart racing. Humans believed giants killed on sight. Eli believed he was about to die. Heavy footsteps shook the ground. The chamber doors opened slowly. Light flooded the room. Eli raised his eyes and froze. Astrea entered. She was massive. Her shadow covered him completely. One finger of hers was wider than his chest. Eli's breath caught in his throat. His body screamed at him to run, but there was nowhere to go. She looked down at him. So small, she thought. So fragile. The elders watched closely. They expected fear. They expected rejection. Astrea surprised them. She lowered herself. Slowly, carefully she knelt. The ground cracked under her weight. Eli stared, unable to move. "You were chosen," Astrea said. Her voice was deep but calm. Not cruel. Not angry. Eli Dlinket. Chosen for what? No one answered. The elders turned away. That silence was heavier than any threat. Later, Eli was given food, clean clothes, and a private room. That confused him more than chains would have. He was not treated like a prisoner. Guards bowed when they passed him. Something was very wrong. Across the city, Astrea stood alone on a high platform. She looked at the stars. Her hands trembled. She had seen hundreds of species. Warriors. Strong creatures. Even other giants had failed. But humans were different. Weak bodies. Short lives. Yet they survived everything. Fire. Loss. They adapted. Behind her, Elder Mailer spoke softly. "He does not know the truth." Astrea closed her eyes. "You promised him safety." Mailer's voice hardened. "We promised survival, not honesty." Astrea turned. "If he learns what the bonding does to humans, he will refuse," Mailer interrupted. "Or worse, he will break." Far below, Eli lay awake in his room. The ceiling was too high, the walls too smooth. He felt like an ant in a glass box. He remembered the way Astrea looked at him. Not with hunger, with fear. The next day, tests began. Machines scanned his body. Doctors watched his heart rate, his pain response, his brain activity. Every reading surprised them. "He should have collapsed," one doctor whispered. "He's still stable," another said. Eli felt tired but alive. Too alive. That night, he heard voices outside his door. "Another human lasted 2 hours," one guard said. "This one passed the first phase," another replied. Eli sat up. "None survived the bonding." The first guard continued. "Their bodies fail." Eli's blood went cold. He stepped back into the shadows as the guards moved away. Across the city, Astrea pressed her hand against the wall, feeling the vibration of Eli's heartbeat through the structure. He was still alive. Too alive. In the council chamber, Mailer spoke the words that had been spoken too many times before. "If he dies, we try again." Astrea looked up, eyes burning. "And if he lives?" The room fell silent. Far away, Eli stood alone, staring at his trembling hands. He did not know the truth. But the galaxy was about to learn something the giants never expected. Humans were not meant to survive this. And that was exactly why he might. Eli did not sleep that night. The words he heard stayed in his mind. None survived the bonding. He sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor. His room was quiet, too quiet. No chance. No guards inside. That scared him more than a prison ever could. In the morning, the tests continued. Giant machines surrounded him. Light scanned his skin. Needles touched his arms. His heart beat fast, but he did not scream. He focused on breathing, on staying calm. The doctors watched closely. He should feel pain, one whispered. Eli clenched his teeth. He did feel pain. He just refused to show it. Humans learned that early. Pain did not mean the end. Above the chamber, Astria watched from behind a thick glass wall. Her massive hand rested against the surface. Her eyes followed every small movement Eli made. He was still standing. Others had fallen. After the tests, Eli was allowed to walk freely inside the inner city. The buildings were enormous. The streets were wide, like oceans of stone. Giant citizens stopped and stared at him. Some looked curious. Some looked afraid. That made no sense to Eli. He was the small one. That evening, Astria came to see him again. She sat across from him, careful not to get too close. One wrong move could crush him. Eli noticed that. "You are calmer than most," she said. Eli shrugged. "Fear doesn't help." Astria studied his face. "You know, humans were not our first choice." "Egoistic," Eli deeply. "So why me?" She hesitated. "Because you were adaptable," she said. It was not a lie, but it was not the full truth. Eli nodded slowly. "And the bonding? What is it really?" Astria looked away. "It will be difficult," she said. "But you will be honored." That word felt wrong. Honored people were not whispered about at night. When she left, Eli noticed something strange. His body felt warm, stronger. His muscles did not ache from the tests. His breathing felt deeper. He lifted a metal chair. It felt lighter than before. Across the city, the elders argued. "He is progressing too fast," one said. "Humans are weak," another replied. "His body will fail soon." Mailer remained silent. "The lie is holding," he finally said, "as long as he believes he is safe." "But what if he survives longer than expected?" an elder asked. Mailer's eyes darkened. "Then we adjust." That night, Eli woke up screaming. His body burned. His heart raced. His vision blurred. He collapsed onto the floor, gasping for air. Guards rushed in. Doctors followed. Astria arrived moments later. "He's entering the second phase," a doctor said. "He should not survive this," another whispered. Ilias Meest's clinched. His bones felt like they were breaking. His mind screamed at him to give up. But he didn't. He remembered long nights in space. Broken engines. No help coming. Only him and the silence. Humans did not give up. Minutes passed. Then hours. Slowly, Ilias breathing steed. His heartbeat slowed. The doctors stared at the screens. "This is impossible," one said. Eli opened his eyes. He was alive. Stronger. Faster. He sat up, confused but alert. Astria felt something twist inside her chest. Hope. Fear. Both at once. Later, Eli stood alone near a window that looked out at the stars. His reflection looked the same, but he felt different. Sharper. He heard voices behind a wall again. If he reaches the third phase, a voice said, he won't be human anymore. And if he fails? Another asked. Then his death feeds the process. Eli stepped back, heart pounding. So that was the truth. He was not a guest. He was fuel. Far above, Astria stood before the elders. "I will tell him," she said. Mailer shook his head. "Not yet. If he learns now, he may still survive," Mailer said coldly. "And if he does, everything changes." Astria looked toward the city below, toward the small human who refused to die. Eli clenched his fists. They thought he was weak. They thought he would break. They were wrong. And soon, they would learn just how wrong they were. Eli changed after the second phase. He woke up before the alarm sounded. His eyes opened easily, like his body already knew when to rise. His breathing was calm. His thoughts were clear. Too clear. He stood from a bed and felt the floor under his feet. Strong. Balanced. His body moved without effort. When he stretched his arms, his muscles responded instantly. This was not normal. Doctors watched him from a distance as he walked through the testing hall. His recovery time is impossible, one said. His cells are adapting, another whispered. Astria stood behind them, silent. Her eyes never left Eli. Humans were supposed to break. They always did, but Eli did not. The next test was physical. A metal bar thicker than Eli's arm was placed in front of him. "Lift it," a doctor said, unsure. Eli wrapped his hands around the cold metal. He expected pain, resistance. Instead, the bar rose slowly, then steadily. Gasps filled the room. "That bar weighs more than his body," someone said. Eli lowered it carefully and stepped back. His heart was calm. His hands were steady. He looked up and saw fear. Not himself. In them. Later that day, Astria met Eli alone in a quiet chamber. The walls were smooth stone. No guard stood inside. "You are changing," she said. Eli nodded. "I can feel it." "Are you afraid?" she asked. He thought for a moment. "I should be, but I'm not." Astria lowered herself until her eyes were close to his level. "Eli, humans were never meant to reach this stage." "That's what everyone keeps saying," he replied. "But I'm still here." She closed her eyes. That was the problem. Across the city, the elders argued again. "This is dangerous," one shouted. "If humans can survive the bonding, they can replace us," another finished. Mailer stood slowly. "Or they can join us." Silence followed. "Humans adapt," Mailer continued. "That is their curse and their strength. We believe size was power. We were wrong. But if he learns the truth now," an elder said. Mailer raised his hand. "He already knows enough." That night, Eli learned the rest. He followed a maintenance path after hearing voices again. This time, he did not hide. He listened. "The bonding uses their life force," a scientist said. "Their death completes the cycle. And if he lives," another asked, "then the process creates something new." Eli stepped into the light. "Something like me?" he asked. The scientists froze. "No alarms. No guards. Just silence." "So that's it," Eli said calmly. "I was never meant to survive." One scientist swallowed. "You were meant to save us." Eli lowered softly, not in anger, in disbelief. "You could have asked," he said. "Instead, you lied." He turned away before they could speak again. Astria found him later on a high platform overlooking the city. "You know now," she said. "Yes," Eli replied. "You were going to let me die." Her voice broke. "I was going to lose everything." Eli looked up at her massive face. He did not see a monster. He saw someone trapped. "I'm still here," he said. "That has to mean something." Below them, alarms began to sound. Foreign giant clans had entered the system. "They know," Astria whispered. "They fear what you are becoming." Eli watched ships fill the sky like dark clouds. "What do they want?" he asked. "You," she answered. "Dead." Eli took a slow breath. Humans had faced extinction before. Cold planets. Empty space. Endless wars. They survived by refusing to break. "If they come for me," Eli said, "they'll learn something." Astria looked at him. "What?" she asked. Eli clenched his fists, feeling the strength in his bones, the fire in his blood. "That humans don't stay weak," he said. The stars above flickered as the first enemy ships moved closer. And for the first time in giant history, the fear was not for their end. It was for what had just begun. The sky burned. Enemy giant ships filled the air above the city. Their shadows moved across the towers like dark storms. Sirens echoed through the streets. Giant citizens ran, their heavy footsteps shaking the ground. Eli stood on the high platform beside Astria. He felt no fear, only focus. "They will not listen," Astria said. Her voice was tight. "They believe you are a threat." Eli watched the ships descend. "They're right," he said calmly. "Just not in the way they think." A blast hit the outer shield. The city shook. Across the council chamber, the elders shouted over each other. "We must surrender him. If we give him up, they will leave." Mailer slammed his staff into the floor. "And then what? We die later instead." Before anyone could answer, the chamber doors opened. Astria entered. Eli walked beside her. Gasps filled the room. "He should not be here," one elder shouted. Eli stepped forward. "I won't hide." The ground shook as a massive enemy war giant appeared on the main screen. His armor was dark, his eyes cold. "Deliver the human," the war giant said, "or your city falls." Astria moved in front of Eli. "No," she said. The war giant laughed. "You choose extinction." Astria raised her head. "I choose evolution." The transmission cut. The attack began. Energy strikes hit the shields again and again. Cracks spread across the barrier. Giant soldiers rushed to defensive lines. Eli ran, not away, toward the core tower. Guard tried to stop him, but he moved faster than they expected. His body responded without thought. He climbed structures meant for giants. He crossed gaps that should have killed him. Inside the core chamber, machines roared. This power controls the city's defenses, a technician shouted. A human can't handle it. Eli placed his hands on the control surface. Pain surged through him like fire. He screamed, but he did not let go. Outside, the city's defense systems changed. Energy beams became precise. Shields strengthened instead of weakening. The enemy ships hesitated. What is happening? The war giant demanded. Astria watched the screens. Eli, she whispered. Inside the chamber, Eli felt something break open inside him. Not his body, his limits. The machines adjusted to him, not the other way around. Enemy ships began to fall. Shockwaves rolled through the sky. He's controlling it, an elder whispered. The human. The war giant roared in anger. Kill him. A massive figure broke through the shield and landed near the core tower. The ground split. Dust filled the air. Astria rushed forward. She placed herself between the war giant and the tower. You will not touch him, she said. The war giant raised his weapon. Step aside. Astria did not move. Behind her, Eli stepped out of the tower. Small, covered in dust. Alive. Enough, Eli said. The war giant laughed. You think words stop giants? Eli looked up, eyes calm. No, choice does. He raised his hand. The city's defenses locked onto the enemy fleet. You came here afraid, Eli continued. Afraid of change. Afraid of becoming less. The war giant hesitated. Eli's voice did not shake. Humans survive because we adapt. We don't erase others. We evolve with them. Silence filled the battlefield. The enemy ships powered down. Slowly, the war giant lowered his weapon. This changes everything, he said. Yes, Eli replied. It does. Astria felt tears form. Not of fear, of hope. The giants had ruled by size for ages. Now they stood before something new, something smaller, something stronger. And the galaxy watched as the giants realized the truth. They were not being replaced. They were being reborn. The battlefield was silent. Broken ships drifted in space. Smoke rose from damaged towers. The city still stood. Eli stood between giants who once wanted him dead. Now, they watched him with respect. The enemy war giant stepped forward. His voice was low. You could have destroyed us. Eli shook his head. That was never my goal. Astria stood beside him. Her massive hand rested on the ground near him, protective but gentle. We feared extinction, the war giant said. We feared losing our place. Astria spoke. You feared change. The war giant lowered his head. Yes. In a council chamber, leaders from all giant clans gathered. Eli stood at the center, small but steady. Mailer spoke carefully. The bonding was meant to save us. Instead, it revealed our mistake. The elders watched Eli closely. You survived, one said. You became more. Eli replied. I didn't become more by force. I adapted. That's what humans do. Silence followed. Then Mailer asked the question that mattered most. What are you now? Eli took a breath. Still human. Just changed. Astria felt warmth spread through her chest. The truth was finally spoken. The bonding did not need death. It needed choice. The elders realized their error. They had used fear as a tool. It had almost destroyed them. Across the city, giant citizens watched broadcasts of the meeting. For the first time, hope spread faster than fear. Days passed. Reconstruction began. Humans were invited into giant cities. Not as subjects, as partners. The bonding process was rewritten. No lies. No sacrifice. Eli stood with Astria on the same high platform where it all began. The last fertile giantess, Eli said quietly. Astria smiled. Not the last anymore. New life had begun, not only in bodies, but in belief. Giants learned to adapt. Humans learned they were never small. Across the stars, other species watched. They had feared giants for their size. Now, they feared something else. What happens when giants learn to change like humans? Eli prepared to return home. Astria knelt before him one last time. You saved us, she said. Eli shook his head. You chose me. That saved you. She placed a hand over him, careful and gentle. The galaxy would remember this moment, not as the day giants almost ended, but as the day they evolved. Far away, human colonies received the news. A human had stood before giants, and giants had listened. The story spread fast. Humans were not conquerors. They were catalysts. As Eli boarded his ship, he looked back at the city one last time. Astria watched from above, tall against the stars. The future had changed, because the last fertile giantess did not save her species by force. She saved it by choosing a human.